During the Cold War, small nations often faced insurmountable odds against superpowers. For instance, in the Vietnam War, the North Vietnamese Army and Viet Cong suffered heavy losses against U.S. forces, with over 1 million casualties. Yet conventional warfare proved ineffective against superior firepower. This forced nations to rethink strategy, shifting from direct confrontation to asymmetric tactics. The lesson? Military might alone doesn't guarantee victory against determined, resourceful opponents. When weapons failed, ideological warfare became a weapon. North Vietnam's Liberation Radio broadcasted propaganda across South Vietnam, undermining U.S. morale. Similarly, Cuba's Radio Habana Libre reached Latin America, spreading revolutionary ideals. These efforts turned global opinion, portraying superpowers as oppressors. By 1975, 60% of Americans opposed the Vietnam War, partly due to this psychological campaign. The battlefield expanded into mines, not just terrain. Economic tactics became crucial. In 1973, OPEC's oil embargo against the U.S. spiked fuel prices by 300%, crippling Western economies. Smaller nations like Nicaragua nationalized U.S. assets, leveraging resources as weapons. Smugglers bypassed sanctions. For example, Cuba traded sugar for Soviet oil. These moves exploited superpower dependencies, proving that economic pressure could rival military force in strategic impact. Diplomacy became a battleground. In 1982, Argentina leveraged UN debates to rally support during the Falklands War, despite Britain's military superiority. Neutral nations like India often sided with underdogs, isolating aggressors. Resolutions condemning U.S. actions in Central America passed repeatedly, showcasing how international bodies could amplify small nations' voices. Diplomacy turned global opinion into a strategic asset. Culture became a weapon. Chilean folk band Quilapayun's exile music rallied opposition to Pinochet's U.S.-backed regime. East German films like The Legend of Paul and Paula subtly critiqued Western materialism. Even banned books like Solzhenitsyn's Gulag Archipelago, smuggled into the USSR, eroded ideological control. By 1989, 70% of Eastern Bloc youth consumed Western media, undermining state narratives. When all else failed, guerrilla warfare emerged. The Mujahideen in Afghanistan used hit-and-run tactics against Soviet tanks, costing the USSR $50 billion and 15,000 lives. Nicaragua's Contras ambushed supply convoys with U.S.-provided weapons. These tactics stretched superpowers thin. By 1988, 64% of Soviet citizens opposed the Afghan war. Unconventional warfare turned attrition into a strategic tool. Media exposure changed wars. Nikut's 1972 photo of a napalmed Vietnamese girl turned global opinion against the U.S. In 1980, CBS aired footage of Salvadoran death squads, triggering congressional aid cuts. By 1991, CNN's Gulf War coverage set precedents for real-time war reporting. The lesson? Controlling narratives mattered as much as controlling territory. Domestic unrest crippled superpowers. By 1971, U.S.-Vietnam War protests involved 500,000 in Washington. Draft card burnings and desertions rose 400% from 1965 to 1973. In the USSR, Afghan veterans formed dissident groups like Soldiers' Mothers, undermining military morale. Economic strain followed. U.S. inflation hit 13% by 1979, partly due to war spending. Homefront collapse often preceded battlefield withdrawal. History shows perseverance defeats brute force. North Vietnam unified the country in 1975 despite losing every major battle. The Mujahideen outlasted the USSR's 10-year occupation. By 1991, the Cold War ended not with nuclear exchange, but through economic and ideological exhaustion. These cases prove Sun Tzu's axiom: supreme excellence is breaking resistance without fighting.